Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, stop the New World Order. Welcome to this very cold day in Kidlington, Oxfordshire. The same place you remember the strange men in black. Well, they were sort of Chinese tourists, but there was something a bit weird about them. Do you remember that old video I did? It's quite a while ago now. But I'm here walking up to the north of the town. I've got quite a long, slightly perilous walk ahead of me. I've got to get to the Sturdy's Castle Hotel, which is where I'm staying tonight, because I heard a rumour that it's haunted, so I thought I'd go and have a little staycation there and mix it with a little bit of paranormal research. So he's going up this road, and the pavement's going to give out soon, so I won't be able to film when I'm doing that, but because I have to concentrate. But it's Wednesday the 19th of November, and it seems that all hell seems to be breaking loose in the world, or all kinds of things seem to be going on at the moment, and I'm going away because after I've done this I'm going to the Lapis conference. I mean, I wasn't planning on making the video you're seeing now, if you are going to see it at all. I might just play it on a live stream or something, I don't know. I just grabbed my camera at the last minute before I left the house. It's just kind of like a whim, because I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if I didn't plan to film this. I haven't got the charger with me, so when the battery goes, that's it. I have to switch to my mobile phone. But everything seems to be happening right now. It's amazing, and I'd love to be able to make videos about it. But the last video I made the night before last, and now I'm on my way. You see there, the pavement doesn't last much longer on here, but I'll keep going along here, because at some point I think I'll have to just focus on dodging traffic. But I really am worried about me, but please don't, I'll be fine, honestly. I've walked this route before, because this is the way I went when I went to Barry's grave. If you read Hapanwo, so if you read HBWA, you'll know that, and also I made a video about it when Barry died, or when I found out Barry died. It was about 18 months after he actually did. Across this road. So what's going on? Well, it's partly personal, partly what's going on in the world. But NASA have announced, you know, remember we always talk about NASA and the 3i Atlas photos, the high-rise images from Mars, how there's been the government shutdown, so they couldn't publish them, and the shutdown ended and they still haven't published them. Well, now they are going to publish them this evening at 8 p.m. in a live stream. They're doing a big press conference about it now. Why that is and why they couldn't publish them earlier, I don't know. Maybe they've decided that all the publicity about 3i Atlas is quite useful just simply from promotional public relations purposes. They decided that the reason they do this live stream is because of all the interest. Or maybe they just needed the time to do the airbrushing, because the source of this information is they themselves alone. It's not like normal astronomy, which, as I said, is the world's one truly democratic science. Now, if I'd known this, I'm not sure I would have booked this hotel. I'd have stayed home and watched it. As it is, I'll be able to watch it on my mobile phone if I get a Wi-Fi signal in there, in this hotel. It's quite an old hotel, an old coaching inn. They might not have Wi-Fi. Might not have been invented out here yet. I don't know. We're in the sticks now. That's hopefully I'm going to watch that tonight. If not, I'll watch it when I get back. I expect people will be wanting me to make a video about it, and I can't because I'm away. As soon as I get back, actually, I'm going to go straight off to Lapis on Friday morning. So my next video you'll watch will be next week, for when I'm recording this on the Wednesday. So that's happening. Second thing, James has confessed. Well, someone said they're gritting the roads. They're expecting ice tonight, maybe the snow. There's the railway there, so I'm just crossing over the railway bridge. James has confessed. Do you remember the guy the guy with the pipe, you know, the alien artifact? He has confessed. Oh, there's no doubt I'll be doing a video about this at some point. And people like Patrick from Vetted, no doubt One String Puppet will be on this bandwagon too, are saying, well, there you are then, that's it, case closed. We have a confession. Well, I refer you to my Skeptic talk. The one in Swansea I did was not the one. Yeah, it was the one at Swansea UFO Network. That one is a good one, or the one at Dorset Earth Mysteries. People are just accepting this. The moment you get a confession, that's it. It's kind of case closed. We don't want to know anymore. That's it. It's all over. The person perpetrating the hoax has confessed. They've said it was a hoax, without realising that a confession is a claim too, and confessions can be falsified. In my talk, I give some examples: the Fox sisters, and Alex Malarkey, and who's the other one? Bob Gimlin, who supposedly confessed to faking the Bigfoot footage, which is not true. So in all three of those cases, I think those confessions are suspicious. I mean, Bob Gimlin, I know, was falsified, because the confession is a claim too, and now no one is asking. I mean, I have been in the comments section before I went to bed last night, but very few people are asking, well, maybe is this confession real? Or has James been made to do this by the government? Has he been caught and they're making him do this? Because people have asked him, okay, James, well, where's the artefact then? Could you show us the artefact? And he says, oh, I can't do that. So he's not going to, presumably if he faked this, he made it in a workshop. It's made from scrap metal in a workshop, right? Well, he won't show us how he did it. He won't show us the artefact. So his confession it sounds very plausible. He's been very scathing about, oh, I thought I'd fool you people, and stuff like that, gloating a lot. But when it comes down to it, how do we know it's true? How do we know this confession is real? And the thing is, the skeptics and the backslappers in the comment sections are not asking that question. They're simply, well, not One String Puppet. He's quite a polite chap. I get on well with him. But a lot of the others are just saying, oh, well, I told you so, no, and they're gloating about it. As if they can ever win. If they can never win anything. Think about the backslappers. They cover all bases, and skeptics have, again, watch my Skeptic talk for the various fallacies skeptics use. So that's happened. What else has happened? Well, Age of Disclosure. I'm going to miss Well, I've already talked about this. Age of Disclosure is being launched on home media on Friday, when I won't see it because I'll be on my way to Lapis. I won't be able to watch it till I get back, most likely. So that's happening as well. So those three things all just dumping all at once. Anyway, I'm heading now. The pavement is almost come to an end, so I'm going to have to be very careful from now on as I walk the last mile and a half to my destination. I'll film some more when I get there. That over there is Oxford Airport. Yeah, we have our own airport here, believe it or not. Look, guys, we've just come off the road a little bit. We're opposite the Jeep shop, and there's a kind of Area 51 place here where there's like a big fence. I wonder what that's all about. I wonder what it's for. Very strange. It's sunset in the Emerald of the South. Oh, by the way, I'm nearly there now. It's a bit like narrow this way. I'm going to do a follow-up on my Ditchley Park video from years ago, but not in the winter. I'll wait till the spring. I'll wait till there's a meeting, actually. This here, as you can see, is the North Oxfordshire Crematorium and Memorial Park, and it's in there that Barry is buried. There are photos of his grave, which are on HPWA, and I did a film about Barry's death. My great friend from my days at the hospital, kind of my surrogate father, really. Yes, my family is a very, very strange and complex thing, as you can guess. Okay, this is the place. Sturdy's Castle is a good name. I hope it's sturdy. So let's go in there and see what it's like. Okay, guys, I made it, and here's my room. I'll do give you a full tour later. I just need a cup of tea right now. Oh, that's quite something.
Here we are, guys. NASA are going to hold this interview. NASA shares interstellar comet and 3i Atlas images, and that is let me just see what says on the description. There we go. Tune in as NASA shares the latest images of interstellar comet 3i Atlas collected by several NASA missions. First observed earlier this year, blah de blah de blah. And then these are the people who are going to be at the event. I can just read it down here. Spacecraft across the solar system, as well as ground-based observatories, have been able to observe 3i Atlas as it passes through our celestial neighbourhood and study how the comet behaves. Well, the ground-based ones we've seen, I doubt if they're being published now, they're anything spectacular. The important one is the space-based ones, that is the HiRISE image. That's what we've got to see. That's the really, really important one, the HiRISE. And as you can see, live in 2 hours, well, it's just under 3 hours, 8 PM tonight. Oh, that's Neil. That's Neil just telling me the Angry Astronaut's covering it. Yeah, I might watch the Angry Astronaut stream. Like, yeah, so that's. I'm not going to have dinner. I decided not to. I had a couple of sandwiches, as you can see, and as a result, I'm not really hungry. I'm a bit excited as well, and so I'm actually not going to. I'm actually not going to have dinner. You see, this thing here in the middle of my phone is a wet patch because it got soaked on Friday when we had all the rain. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the bar and have a drink, maybe have some bar snacks, and then we will, and then we'll come back and I'll watch that, I think. Okay, here is my room. It's actually pretty. It's nice actually. I quite like it. You can't see much out the window because it's actually getting dark now. In fact, it is dark. We'll probably see more in the morning. But anyway, that's what it looks like out there at the moment. I've got my Roswell 70 t-shirt on, of course, which is very appropriate because I'm going to be wearing that when I go to Lapis. There's your TV, nice bed, strange striped wallpaper. Let's have a look at the bathroom. We've got a Psycho shower, just bath, sink, slightly posher than Travelodge, you know, nice little old-fashioned style handles, which is hot and cold. Look, bog. Oh, and you've got a few things here, which is nice. They give you these. Oh, look, so we've got some nourishing conditioner, shower gel, shampoo. Not much good to me. But anyway, important guest noticed. If you'd like to be environmentally friendly, please adopt the following: towels in the bath for showering, please change. Towels, alright, it's just telling you if you stay in here multiple times. You've got a non-slip mat as well, which is nice. Alright guys, we've got a towel, you've got like a towel, you can warm up the towels there, see, on that towel there. Now I'll take you outside, I'll show you outside in more detail in a minute. It's basically, it's like Fresno. I'm outdoors. Oh, it's actually pretty cold. I shut that door because it lets the cold in. Yeah, but it's just like the hotel at Fresno. I'm outdoors. The door opens straight onto, not onto the street, luckily, or car park. Yeah, I felt vulnerable in Fresno with all that. But onto like a, I'll show you in a minute. I'm on the top floor of like a outdoor thing, and there's some nice pictures there of flowers, which is nice. There's a lot of heat coming off this radiator, which will come in handy tonight. Got a hairdryer. Thank goodness for that. What would I have done without a hairdryer? And tea. Got tea and coffee and a bit of water as well. So I'm going to have a drink at the bar. I think maybe have some bar snacks, and then I'm going to come back and watch the live stream. Now you may think to yourself that you may wonder what I'm doing here. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's actually haunted. This is a new part anyway. This part, it's not part of the old coaching, and this bit's all you can see is clearly more modern. But the reason I'm here is two reasons. Firstly, it's really remote. I love remote places, and this, if you look at it on a map, Sturdy's Castle. Technically, this is a part of Kidlington, but you know you can see it's about an hour and a half's walk from Kidlington, and it's really there's nothing around for 8 miles. There's a couple of farmhouses, and that's it within a couple of miles. So it's totally remote. It's right out in the middle of nowhere. Second reason, this is where after I went to visit Barry's grave a couple of years ago, I came in here and had a pint of Guinness in honour of him. I won't have Guinness this time. I'll have something. He loved Guinness, so I had some Guinness. But I think this time I might have something, maybe some cider or something, since we're out in the country. Anyway, that's next thing. I think I'll go to the bar and I'll show you the outside. As you can see, we have like an outdoor walkway, and God, it's a bit chilly tonight. And I'm on the top floor, and down below is like a little courtyard, which is nice. As you can see, this is more modern than the older building which I showed you earlier. We're going into there to have a pint. I've got a couple of 40 Times with me to read. So yeah, the room is actually pretty comfortable, as you can see. I'm just going to have a little walk around here. Did I bring my mobile phone? I did, yeah.
Just checking I've got my phone with me. Got a couple of hours, like I say, got more than 2 hours until the live stream. Although Angry Astronaut is actually starting at 7. I might watch him. Neil is watching him. Down we go. It's got a kind of like, this reminds me of my school actually. That was my old school was like this. They had these, it's a few years since I've been there, but they had these like outdoor walkways and stairs on the outside. And so we're going to go in here. They've already got their Christmas decks up. This is the older bit here. Fancy a pint, maybe a couple of packets of peanuts. That'll do me. Outdoors, you can sit out in the beer garden. That's not recommended at this weather. It's bloody cold. There's a Roman road near here, at Aikman Street, so I might actually have a Boudica moment tomorrow. But I'm going to go in there now and have a drink.
Less ice, less.
Some letters, isn't it? Phantom Lake. Andy Owens. He's a brother. He's a HP. Very good. Yeah. Oh, goodness me. No one's going to mess around in this place with a bouncer like that.
With us.
Okay, I'm back in my room now. I did have the burger in the end. Belly's bigger than my eyes, eh? Dobsonian Power's already streaming. 3i Atlas, NASA is making us swallow the comet line. I mean, yeah.
20 Dobsonian Power memberships! Bam! Get in, everyone! One at a time, one at a time.
He's so enthusiastic, this guy. I do like him.
No. One at a time, please.
What? Okay, I'm waiting for Angry to start. I'm not going to be chatting on the phone. This is Angry Astronaut's live stream. He's got a trailer, a 3-minute trailer. I've got this book as well, classic. Woo Woo Supernatural classic, called The Supernatural by Graham Hancock.
Hungary.
Okay, Angry has started right now.
We have BC, Canada again. We have
India. It's really amazing.
We have a lot. We have Italy. We have Belgium, Ethiopia. We have Los Angeles and Corpus Christi. We have Sao Paulo in Brazil. Southampton. Hello. Oh my God.
And what are we going to see from NASA? I mean, are they really going to do some kind of wow? By the way, are they really going to put up pictures of something that's obviously a spaceship and say Avilo? Pause a moment. Are they really going to put up images of a spaceship and say, "Oh, Avilo was right all along"? You know, he really was. I mean, it's not likely, is it? Surely not. Never a straight answer. Not the same space agency that can't be trusted to do anything else. Not the same space agency that's been covering up UFOs sighted by astronauts on the International Space Station and the Space Shuttle. Surely not that NASA. No, I'm dubious. Very dubious indeed. Obviously, I'd love to be proved wrong here, but I've got a feeling it's going to be stuff I don't know why stuff they faked. I mean, I don't know why they're publishing it with such pomp and ceremony. Maybe it's simply because they want to put up the sales in this breeze of amazing publicity, maybe to earn money or something. Maybe just ad revenue from their YouTube channel. It could be as simple as that, or it could be active disinformation. We'll see.
Go only to reliable.
This is supposedly a leaked
sources for
image
these
of
kinds
3i
of
Atlas. I
images.
don't believe
In
it.
other words, people who have a long-standing reputation as an astrophotographer,
now,
somebody who's done a lot of work
Perry,
prior to these sorts of things.
You know, the backyard professor thinks it's just a comet. Totally disagrees. I met Perry, you know, a backyard professor. He's in bed in the desert too. Remember that?
This is absolutely not 3i Atlas. If you could go ahead and run the footage now,
there's so much.
That one piece of there. Watch it. Here it comes. Here it comes. Are you kidding me? Yes. So once again, this was not even a particularly difficult image to fake. As a matter of fact, the person who supposedly leaked it or whatever, I don't think they even created this animation. Not really.
It's a proper astronomical photo. That's one of the ones that Avi has published.
Parts of a tail rather than like a conventional tail. It looks more like a trail of smoke or the kind of stream that we would expect to see behind a jet aircraft or something than a conventional tail. And also, as you can see, there's more than one of them. There are multiple objects at this point.
You can see the fully formed
relative
nucleus
to the sun, they're
fragment.
pointing away. But again, you have this.
Okay guys, 5 minutes to go. I decided to go onto NASA's own live stream because unfortunately, as much as I really love the Angry Astronaut talking about 3i Atlas, he's got too many ad breaks. NASA hopefully will have none. So less than 5 minutes to go now guys. You know, it's starting. And live, look, there's loads in the live chat. Let's see if I can prop this up on something. So I have to hold it all the time. Well, focus then. It's not focusing. Let's start.
Interstellar comet 3I Atlas. 3I means third interstellar, and Atlas refers to the NASA-funded Atlas Survey Telescope, which made the discovery. We are joined today by Amit Shatria, NASA's Associate Administrator, Nikki Fox, Associate Administrator for NASA's Science Mission Directorate, Sean Domagal-Goldman, Director for the Astrophysics Division, and Tom Statler, Lead Scientist for Solar System Small Bodies in the Planetary Science Division. We'll be taking questions from the media on the phone bridge and through social media, but before we get started, let's learn more about this fascinating comet and share some images. Amit, kick us off.
Hi everyone. America leads the way in space exploration. As Courtney noted, a NASA-funded telescope, the Atlas Survey Telescope in Chile, first reported observations of the comet on July 1st, 2025 to the Minor Planet Center. And NASA has been tracking and studying Comet 3I Atlas ever since. We're here today to give you the latest of what we know about Comet 3I Atlas and what we still want to know.
What you want us to know?
First, what is a comet? It's a small, natural, solid body that is a combination of rocky and icy material that evaporates as it warms when it's...
Yeah, but this ain't a comet, mate. It's not a comet.
But to start with, I'd like to address the rumors right at the beginning. I think it's important that we talk about that. This object is a comet. It looks
You
and
heard
behaves
me,
like
see?
a comet.
Let's get that out of the way.
And all evidence points to it being a comet.
No, it doesn't.
But this one came from outside the solar system, which makes it
Why do you have to bring that up at the
exciting,
beginning?
and scientifically very important. This is only the third interstellar object like this that humanity has ever found.
Apart from UFOs.
And a little bit more about the rumors. I think it's very important, and I'm actually very excited that a lot of the world was speculating about the comet while NASA was in a period.
You're getting desperate, aren't you? You've got to bring this up at the beginning.
Government shutdown. I think what I took away from that whole experience and watching that as we were working during the shutdown was just how interested and how excited people were about the possibility of what this comet could be.
That's true.
There was a lot of speculation about what it could be,
But a lot of it was because you're dishonest.
What I think is really awesome is that folks were interested in this incredible finding that we observed and that that came from the heavens, and what that means, what it could mean about how magical the universe could be. It expanded people's brains to think about how magical the universe could be. And I'll tell you, here at NASA, we think that every day. And so it's really great that you were able to join us while we were not able to comment because of the shutdown constraints.
You can see liar.
What that comet is, because we think the universe is a magical place, and we spend your treasure and we spend all of our time trying to make sure that we explore that and share with you as much as we can. In fact, we want very much to find signs of life in the universe. In fact, just a few months ago, we were with you and we talked about what we think might be the signal from ancient life on the surface of Mars, from our amazing machines that have been roving the planet for 30 years to look for those things. That is something that's really important for us to learn about and discover. It could be an amazing discovery.
You've got the bases on Mars, haven't you?
But 3I Atlas is a comet.
No, it's not.
So my colleagues from the Science Mission Directorate will go through the images in detail. But just to give you a peek, here's one of the images from the closest physical instrument we had to the comet, from the HiRISE instrument on our Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, taken on October 2nd as the comet sailed by at a distance of 19 million miles from
Good airbrushing, mate.
You can see that Comet 3I Atlas looks like a fuzzy white ball. That ball is a cloud of dust and ice called the
What about the
coma,
nucleus
which
pixel?
is shed by the comet as it continues its trajectory.
Oh, I can't wait to
towards
see
the
what
sun.
Avi says about this.
I'll leave it to my esteemed colleagues to share further details, and I'd like to introduce you to the head of NASA Science, Nikki
So that's
Fox.
the high-rise image, is it?
Thank you so much. It is such a rare opportunity for us to be able to observe this interstellar comet. And NASA Science has been given this,
An English
this
accent.
really,
So many
really
of these people
exciting
have English
opportunity to do
accents.
it. And literally from the moment of its discovery.
I bet it's
Just like
controlled
Ahmed
by
said,
MI6,
comets
that's
are tiny
why.
cosmic snowballs. And by studying them, we can
But the
learn
UFO
about the
hearing,
environment,
about three-quarters of them had English
basically where they
accents.
formed, where they came from. This one came from a different environment from our own, and so we're already starting
Yes, an
to see
alien
some
shipyard.
really interesting differences to comets from our own solar system. 3I Atlas, as you heard, is the third known interstellar object to pass through our solar system, the first one being identified in 2017. While these types of interstellar objects have long been predicted, we are just beginning to be able to find them thanks to the newest technologies with our network of Earth-based telescopes, which are designed to find small, fast-moving objects in space.
She's very precise
The
over her
NASA-funded
words.
Atlas Survey telescope,
She
which made the
has a
discovery,
teleprompter in
is
front of
part
her
of NASA's Planetary Defense Network.
with the speech,
Our
probably
telescopes
written by
are
someone
always
else.
watching the skies to keep us safe.
She's
and in
rehearsed
doing
this.
so, they occasionally make major scientifically interesting discoveries, just like this one. Right away, of course, NASA's Planetary Defense Coordination Office they studied it, and they established that 3I Atlas is not a danger to Earth.
I don't think
In
it is
fact,
probably
it's
either.
at least
It doesn't mean it's not aliens.
twice as far away as the distance between the Earth and our sun. On October 30th, the comet itself reached the closest
This is probably
it
like
will ever
extra
be to the
reassurance
sun
because
when
of all
it
the
crossed
nut
just
jobs
inside
talking about,
Mars's
3i
orbit,
Atlas is going to hit
which
you,
is
and
why
all those
the
other
image
stupid
that
idiots
Ahmed
on
just showed,
social
he
media.
noted it was the closest instrument physically to the comet because the comet was right inside the orbit of Mars. Earth was on the opposite side of the sun, which is about as
Awfully
far
bad luck,
away
isn't
as
it?
our planet can possibly be from Mars. It's been clear from the moment of discovery that the comet was going to pass on the opposite side of the sun from where the Earth is. However, it was also clear that its positioning behind the sun was going to make observations from Earth very, very difficult. And that is why we are so happy to have our incredible fleet of NASA science spacecraft all across the solar system. And boy,
What
were
about
they
the secret
ready
space
for
program
this
ones?
event. NASA's science assets on board our missions have provided the United States the unique capability to observe 3I Atlas almost the entire time it passes through our celestial neighborhood. Everything NASA science does is interconnected, and nearly 20
Yeah,
mission
with the
teams have
CIA.
been working together to really rise to this challenge. 20 mission teams, by the way, and counting.
Yeah, you had to make a realistic image,
Everything
didn't
we're
you?
learning
Had
about
to
the
make your
comet
fake
is
image
possible
realistic.
because of the distribution of all of the different instruments on our spacecraft with different capabilities. And I'll note that for some of them, we've even pushed our scientific instruments beyond their normal capabilities, beyond the things that they were designed to achieve to allow us to capture this amazing glimpse at this interstellar traveler. In other words, we can study this comet so well because we have many different assets in different locations, observing things in different wavelengths, in different ways, with different instruments, each set of observations providing a different lens for understanding objects in the sky. So NASA's science team has kept watch on 3I Atlas for nearly its entire journey through the solar system for the first time ever. So I'll just quickly go through the timeline of which NASA spacecraft have observed the comet thus far, and we're still going. There will be more opportunities to observe this comet as it continues its journey through the solar system, passing the orbit of Jupiter in spring of 2026.
Oh, so you are going to let Juno
So the
look at
NASA
it?
assets that are
Are you?
gathering observations of 3I Atlas include Hubble, the James Webb Space Telescope, TESS, SWIFT, SphereX, Perseverance Mars Rover, Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, MAVEN, Europa Clipper, Lucy, Psyche, personal favorite, Parker Solar Probe, Punch, Stereo, and ESA, NASA's SOHO mission. And I'll note
But
that
the
Parker
Europa
Solar
Clipper
Probe's
is-
data were just
let's see.
downloaded yesterday, and indeed, we did catch several glimpses of this amazing comet.
It's not a comet.
The scientific community is hard at work analyzing these images, and everyone, as always, is welcome to take a look. At NASA, we embrace open science. We make all of our data available to the public 24/7, and we invite, in fact, we really want you to tell us what you're observing and what you think about what we're looking at.
You don't want to know what I think,
We're
Lynn,
still
my dear.
learning,
You'd
even
get
about
angry
what
with me if I
questions
told
we
you.
still need to ask. And this, of course, is the scientific process in action. All the data go to a public archive. We get those images as soon as we're able to from all of our eyes in space. As always, I am excited to see what new things we learn about our friendly solar system visitor in the days and, in fact, the years to come. So now I'm going to pass over to Sean. He's going to tell you about what our astrophysics missions have seen. They, of course, were some of the first things to look at the comet, and images from several of them have been available since the beginning of the summer.
If only they had a press conference, a live one, and James Fox could be there heckling them. Oh, brilliant during the UFO one. Do you remember that?
To tell us all the new stuff. Take it away, Sean.
Thanks, Nikki. Happy to. To give you some background, NASA's astrophysics missions, like all our missions, they are designed to do things that would otherwise be impossible. In this case, our nation's space telescopes stare deeper and more sharply into the universe than any other observatories in the world. And that means we're often the first to follow up and study near-Earth objects or comets like 3I Atlas after they're initially detected. That same powerful gaze that lets these telescopes see distant galaxies, those little red dots you might hear about, they also allow us to observe details about objects like 3I Atlas a little bit sooner. And the earlier we learn about these objects, the earlier we can share this information with the world, including the science community and our partners across the planet that often have ground-based assets or other space-based assets, so that they can conduct
not the civilian masses
with their telescopes. In this case, our astrophysics missions came together
I'm trying to look at the
advantage
live
of this
chat
rare
as they're going too
opportunity
quickly.
to study this comet that came to us from outside the solar system. From our
More
flagship
lies,
space
someone
telescopes to
says.
smaller missions like TESS and SWIFT, they all have, as Nikki said, different complementary capabilities. They don't just do things that would otherwise be impossible. They do things that even our other great telescopes can't do. So every time we add to the fleet, we add additional capabilities.
Well, there's so much flannel in this one.
In this case, it let us refine the orbit of this structure early on, determine what its structure is and what its composition is, what it is made.
There's more flannel than the IKEA
It's a
bathroom
beautiful illustration
department.
of why we have not just one space telescope, but a fleet of them. Because every one member of that fleet specializes in a different kind of information, contributing a different piece of the puzzle to the total understanding we have from the fleet as a whole. So for example, Old Reliable, NASA's Hubble Space Telescope, celebrated its 35th
No, we've seen
birthday
that one.
earlier
We've seen
this
that
year.
image.
Not too long after
The
that,
high-rise
in
was not
July,
much better than
it
that.
looked at 3I Atlas, not long after we discovered it.
He did say that. What happened? The angry
At
astronaut
this
said,
point,
don't
3I
don't
Atlas was
expect
about
anything too spectacular. And it's not. I
277
mean,
million miles from Earth. And what Hubble's images revealed was a few things. First, a teardrop-shaped coma of dust coming off that solid, icy nucleus of the comet itself.
how big is it? How big is the nucleus?
Data, astronomers were able to more
You should be able to see
accurately narrow
that.
a few
The
things.
pixel, 38 kilometers
the
per
size of the nucleus.
pixel, at
Now
that
know it's
range.
Between, at that point, actually, we knew it was between 1,400 feet in diameter up to as large as 3.5 miles in diameter. And Hubble also saw that the comet was losing dust. And not just losing it, but
But you
losing
see
it at a
how
rate consistent with other
they're worried,
previous
'cause if
sun-bound comets
the
that
nucleus is too
originated from within
small,
our solar system.
It makes it
Consistent
difficult to
with the
explain
physics
the
that
lack of
we know from
NGA
watching
before
those
perihelion.
objects. Now, the last thing Hubble did is it gave us a better understanding of the orbit of this object. Tell us not just where it was, but where it was heading, so we could point other observatories at it, such as the James Webb Space Telescope. We added this to our fleet early in this decade. We didn't have it when the last two interstellar comets came around. Now, what James Webb did, and its companion SphereX, which we only launched at the beginning of this year, is it added infrared observations. The power of infrared observations is these are colors we can't see. They're redder than what our eyes can detect. And infrared light is particularly good at helping us understand the composition of objects. We can see little molecular fingerprints from the things that the objects are made of. So with these infrared observations, coma, and in the bright cloud of gas and dust surrounding that comet as it approaches the sun, those molecular fingerprints I mentioned, those are the little like science wiggles you might see in the top right of these images. We now know from seeing those science wiggles, those fingerprints of those molecules, that the comet has a nucleus rich in carbon dioxide as well as like we can not just say that these things are there, we can also say what's the ratio of carbon dioxide to water. And we now know that. We know it's larger than what we usually see in solar system objects. But there's a lot of natural explanations for that. For one, the carbon dioxide is going to kind of bake off that comet earlier on when it's far away. But there's other well-understood processes that could also explain it. I'll just to put this in context. There are.
But they're not even going to mention Avi's name, are they?
And we look at the ratios of carbon dioxide to water. We see whether it's a star or a planet, different ratios than we see in the solar system, and that's true for this comet.
I need a different tripod.
So it could mean, the last theory of why those ratios could be different, that these ices could have been exposed to higher levels of radiation than comets in our own system. Or, as I said before, it could be that the comet just formed from a region where carbon dioxide ice was particularly abundant.
Or it's synthetic chemistry.
Other missions like our SWIFT spacecraft, which studies X-rays and gamma rays, have also observed the comet. Teams even looked back through data from our TESS mission, which was designed to look at exoplanets, and found observations of the comet as early as May. That information is helping us understand the comet's history before it got closer,
boring.
And when those other observatories pointed at it once we knew where it was. Now that the comet is near,
it's not a comet.
Relatively speaking, our planetary and heliophysics missions have joined in to tell us more. And now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Tom Statler to talk about some of those new images.
All right, thanks very much, Sean. Before we get started, I just want to remind everybody of where we are, who is where in this play. As you saw in the animations while Nikki was speaking, the sun, of course, is at the center of our solar system. The planets are orbiting around the sun, and in this case, Comet 3I Atlas has come through on a trajectory in the opposite direction and has arrived at its closest
pre-Copernicans here, mate.
When the Earth was on the wrong side for us to conveniently observe. But Mars
it's awfully
was
bad
on
luck,
the
isn't it?
correct side of the sun, and our Mars assets were able to observe the comet, and also several of our other spacecraft were on the correct side of the sun. So the scientific community is really excited about the comet and about these new observations. I'm tremendously excited to help share them with you today. This is a new scientific opportunity, and it's a new window into the makeups and histories of other solar systems. We're just beginning to learn about these types of objects and figure out what are the right questions we should ask about them. Now, let me start by going directly to what we were able to see at the beginning of September, when Psyche was able to see the mission. So before that, though, in August, we organized a workshop. We organized a coordination session for the missions across the NASA fleet that had good opportunities for potentially observing 3I Atlas, so that we could all share observing plans and knew what was going to be possible with our assets. I can't emphasize enough now how, thanks to the cooperation of so many mission teams, we will be accumulating a wealth of data on this comet that the science community will be digging into for years. Now, let's go back to September, and I can show you a sampling of the images collected by our different mission teams. To set the context, you're going to see a comet that's a small body with a coma around it, basically a fuzzy blob. Now remember, space is big.
Just another fuzzy blob.
Nothing is ever really as close as you like, and all of these observations are very, very difficult. It's a little bit as if our NASA spacecraft were at a baseball game, watching the game from different places in the stadium. Everybody's got a camera, and they're trying to get a picture of the ball, and nobody has a perfect view, and everybody has a different camera. Now, let's return to September and see the first images from the Psyche spacecraft. NASA's Psyche mission acquired 4 broadband black and white images of the comet over the course of 8 hours on September 8th and 9th, 2025. The comet was about 33 million miles from the spacecraft at that time, and you can see in the image the large frame where the comet was seen at different times. Down in the bottom left is a blow-up, a stack, in addition of all
I'll go back after this. I'll go back to
the Psyche
angry
spacecraft is on
astronaut.
its way to an asteroid in the main asteroid belt that's also named Psyche, and these images were the first captured from this perspective. Now, if you think in that lower left you're not seeing very much, just wait a minute, you'll see more. Now, the following week in September, the Lucy spacecraft observed the comet from the opposite direction. So let's take a look at the Lucy image. This is another broadband black and white image made by adding up a series of individual exposures that were taken on
Andrew's
September
right. We're not
16th.
really going to see anything spectacular
Lucy is
here.
on its way to study asteroids that shared Jupiter's orbit around the Sun, called the Trojan asteroids. Lucy was 240 million miles away from 3I Atlas, which is circled in the center, when its high-resolution LORRI camera caught the comet. You can see the comet's coma, the fuzzy halo of gas and dust surrounding 3I Atlas, and its tail, a smudge extending to the right of the comet.
Again, nice bit of
Spacecraft
Photoshop there, guys. Very good
The sun would
photoshopping.
be a little bit over your left shoulder, and so the comet
This is
tail
the best
pointing
Fakery since
away from
the
sun,
Apollo
as
missions.
we've seen many times before in solar system comets. For scale, this image spans about 1/3 the width of the full moon as you'd see it on the sky. Of course, at the distance of the comet, that's a much, much larger region of space than the moon. Now, this looks a little different from the Psyche image. Part of that is because the cameras are different, and part is because of the ways the Psyche and the Lucy teams decided to show their images. But also, it's because we're seeing the comet from different directions. Seeing a comet's coma in different lighting geometries, with the sun coming from different directions, is one of the key ways to learn about the physical properties of the dust that's been launched off its surface. And I want to emphasize that you do not get these views unless you have spacecraft farther from the sun than the comet is, so that you can see it backlit. We could not get this view from the vantage point of the Earth. So combining the data from Lucy, Psyche, and Earth-based telescopes, scientists are hoping to better understand both the three-dimensional structure of the comet and the nature of the dust. It's a rare opportunity to compare ancient dust from a distant solar system to that from our own.
You are.
Now let's go to the next picture from the MAVEN spacecraft at Mars. At the beginning of October, 3I Atlas passed within 20 million miles of Mars, which gave our Mars spacecraft an opportunity for a close-up. And earlier you saw the image that Ahmed shared from our Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. MAVEN is another Mars orbiter that has been studying the Martian atmosphere since 2014. Now, this picture is not a direct picture of the comet itself. It's a spectrum. You're seeing the science wiggles that Sean was just talking
about. So these
about.
are the
Some of those
materials inside the coma.
Where the instrument, the spectrograph, the ultraviolet spectrograph on MAVEN has looked at the comet and also split up the ultraviolet light according to color. So you're seeing three different bands in this image. On the right, you're seeing emission from hydrogen gas in the atmosphere of Mars. In the middle, there's a fainter band indicating that's coming from hydrogen gas in interplanetary space. And on the left, that blob is the signature of hydrogen gas coming from comet 3I Atlas. It's a little blob rather than a big streak because the comet is a small object in the sky relative to great big gigantic Mars and interstellar space that fills the entire field of the instrument. That definitely tells us, first of all, that the comet is there. If there were no comet, there would be no little blob on the left side of the image. But it's also telling us it's one of the many ways that we're able to discern the chemical composition of 3I Atlas. And in this particular example, it's showing us the hydrogen gas that's coming off of the nucleus. Now, MAVEN's observations, combined with the earlier observations by Swift and Webb that Sean spoke about, will help determine the water production rate, how much water vapor is released from the comet when the comet is warmed by the sun, which provides insight into the formation of the comet and its journey through our galaxy. Now, the European Space Agency and NASA's Solar and Heliospheric Observatory, or SOHO, also successfully imaged 3I Atlas from October 15th to 16th after it had passed Mars. And SOHO spotted the comet crossing its field of view
so all through the peak of the solar conjunction.
Away, or more than twice
so it never disappeared, did it? It never completely disappeared.
Comet 3I Atlas was expected to be too faint for SOHO to see, but this result was made using detailed image processing and overlaying, or we call it stacking, subsequent telescope images. This image highlights the value of spacecraft and instruments designed to look directly toward the sun.
The battery's getting low. I'm afraid I'm going to have to stop in a minute, guys.
But also
And I'll switch the camera back on if there's something really interesting happens. All
from
right.
the telescope's point of view. You'll be able to see the rest of the images on our 3i Atlas website, go.nasa.gov/3i-atlas. And there will be more to come. Not all of the data have been downlinked yet through NASA's Deep Space Network, and there are more observations still in work. And also, it's a long way from where we are today, seeing the initial images, to then making sure that they are accurately calibrated and processed to do science with, and then doing the analysis, combining the data sets, understanding them, and finally producing the scientific understanding, the knowledge of what this all means, which will be published in peer-reviewed scientific journals. But the answers will come later on. We are still at this phase, very much in the state where we're figuring out what are even the right questions to ask about interstellar objects. This is a snapshot of where we are very early in the scientific process. Okay, back to you, Courtney.
All right, thank you all for your opening remarks. We'll go ahead and start the question and answer portion of this event. Just a reminder to our media on the phone bridge to press *1 to enter the queue and ask your questions.
Another public press.
We'll take our first question from the phone bridge
This
from
is not
Marcia
public.
Dunn with
This
the
is
Associated
approved
Press.
media representatives only.
Yes, hi. Based on your latest observation, what more can you tell us about the potential shape of the comet? Can you find
Why has she got the word grind behind her? It's not
big or
grind. It's actually
small it might
Goddard.
be, origin, all that sort of thing? Thank you.
Thanks for that question. There's a lot
You
of
can see this like
territory to
BBC
cover
Question
there, so
Time.
let's
It's
see
all
what I can do.
approved, pre-approved stuff.
The size of the nucleus still has yet to be pinned down. The best data are still from the Hubble observations that Sean was talking about. So we're still right now in that range of
You knew we
somewhere
wanted to know that,
in the
didn't you?
of a couple of thousand feet to a couple of miles diameter. But
It's more. It must be more than
better
that.
on that one.
But it's got to be
The
less.
shape
It's less than
of
5
the
kilometers. You're in
nucleus is
trouble.
also difficult to pin down because generally we're not resolving it in our observations. It's obscured by the dust, and especially it's obscured by the reflected sunlight off of
This
the
was
dust
completely
in the inner
staged. The
part of
question and
cone.
answer completely
But
staged.
what observers from the ground have been able to do is observe the brightness of the center of the comet over time to see if there's a modulation of that brightness that would be an indication of rotation. And it's very difficult to discern. So what it's looking like so far is that there's not a big, the shape of the nucleus is not very far from being round. Doesn't seem to be a big, at least we're not seeing signatures
Lavi
of
worked
a
there,
very
right?
elongated object yet. There's a lot still to come there. I think you were also talking about origin. It would be great, it would be fabulous if we could trace back the incoming trajectory into the solar system and trace that back and figure out where it came from. But things are not quite so simple. Our galaxy, as Sean knows, is a big and complicated place. And the sun and all the other stars in our galaxy are in orbit around the center of the galaxy. And so 3i Atlas has been in interstellar space for a very long time. There is circumstantial evidence, given how fast it has come in to our solar system, that it came from some very old population, some solar system around a very old star. Quite possibly, we can't say this for sure, but the likelihood is it came from a solar system older than our own solar system itself, which gives me goosebumps to think about, frankly, because that means that 3i Atlas is not just a window into another solar system, it's a window into the deep past, and so deep in the past that it predates even the formation of our Earth and our Sun.
All right, we'll take our next question from
Have
the
he
phone
said
bridge from Bill Harwood.
High-rise has the
CBS.
pixelation, has the resolution to work out how big the nucleus is, or at least roughly.
Bill, if you're talking.
Neil. Oh. Neil's just
Hey
giving me.
again, this is Bill Harwood again. Can you hear me?
We have you loud and clear.
Okay, thanks. Sorry about that. I mentioned the rumors that were, kind of scurrying around about this thing in the weeks leading up to this briefing today. I have two questions for anybody who would care to answer. One is, did any of you seriously, did you take seriously the proposition from some that this could be an alien spacecraft?
Why don't you mention his
I
name?
doubt you did, but I'm
Avi
asking the
Loeb.
question anyway. And number two,
Planted question.
is there any evidence you see in any of the data you have that would fit an explanation like that? Or as far as you're concerned, does all of this data say conclusively that this is simply a comet that happens to be passing through the solar system? Thanks.
I'll take that one, Bill, and thanks for the question. We love all of the different science and all of the different kind of hypotheses into what these things can be. You know, when you start seeing something, you just got to point. You know, it's natural to wonder what it is. And we actually love, as Amit said, we love that the world wondered along with us. And that's such a cool thing. We certainly were able, because of the measurements that Sean described from the astrophysics telescopes that immediately turned on this object once we found it. And even, you know, I was interested, I just learned that we'd actually gone back and actually seen it before we even found it. So that was super cool. I just heard that from Sean. But, you know, we were very quickly
you knew that
able
already,
to look
surely.
for sort of, you know,
I knew that.
The easiest thing to do, I'll put it in a different way, is if you understand comets pretty well and you understand asteroids pretty well, you kind of know the signatures that you're looking for, and so you can sort of look for those quickly and tick them off and say, yep, it really does behave like a comet. The interesting thing that, you know, Tom, I know if I throw this to him in a second, he's going to geek out about it. But the really cool thing about this is the differences, because it comes from somewhere else. And that's why we're so excited about it. It's only the third time that we've been able to identify and track something coming from outside our own solar system. We've long predicted these things occur, and now, of course, we know better how to look for them, and we now have this amazing Atlas array. You know, we're expecting we'll find a lot more of them. But it was quick. We were quick to be able to say, yep, it definitely behaves like a comet. We certainly haven't seen any techno signatures or anything from
you
it
does protest
that
too
would lead us
much.
to believe it was anything other than a comet. But the super cool thing is not that it's exactly like all the comets that we see in our solar system. It's the differences that are so tantalizing for us as
it's very different. If it's a natural object, it's really different.
It could be from
Totally
something
different.
that existed before our own solar system. That is so cool. It's from something that predates even our own star. Yep, it's going to look different because it didn't come from our solar system, and that's what makes it so magical. You want to geek out a little bit, Tom?
You were geeking out so expertly, Nikki, to begin with. So that was fabulous. But that's exactly right. I mean, things from other places, we naturally expect them to be different from our own homegrown variety. And
I'm going to switch off now to save the battery. As I said earlier, I haven't brought my charger with me. But I'll switch on again if something of interest happens.
Says to you, well, gee, have you comprehensive long-duration observations?
Tom Statler's talking about Oumuamua now.
Exactly what it was doing. It was the very first one. We saw it for a short
He's
time.
talking about the non-gravitational acceleration of Oumuamua.
So we didn't get a great view of that. The second object, 2I.
What he basically said was,
discovered in 2019.
was that Oumuamua was it was a gigantic NGO. He says it was outgassing something that they couldn't see. Invisible, mystical, levitating outgassing that no one can see, but it must be there because there's no other reason it could be out. It could be moving. Avi came up with a much better explanation for that. That it's artificial.
It's very much akin to our solar system comets, although
Talking about Borisov now.
In some ways,
2I Borisov is pretty boring.
Are in the pipeline that have been
Oh, someone's asked about NGA.
I think the MRO high-rise.
This guy's asking about non-gravitational
has that been
acceleration.
released yet, and what else is there that's either in the can and waiting to come out,
Future
or
observations
that will be made over the coming weeks as the object comes closer to Earth?
You call it an object, good.
I can answer some of that about the non-gravitational accelerations. This is something that we look very closely at for every comet, because that's always something that happens. And just to back up to explain what the question is that as comets evaporate, they are blowing off gas, they are blowing off dust, and every time something gets pushed off the comet, that acts like a little rocket engine at that moment and pushes in the other direction.
It doesn't fit
so it's very,
the
very
data
common
3 Atlas.
to see comets
An explanation.
have subtle changes in their orbits as a result
13% of its mass gone?
little rocket forces, just called non-gravitational accelerations. So this is being monitored very closely. I spoke to our orbit determination team at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory earlier this week, and what they said is that this is being monitored. There are some changes to the orbit, but the uncertainties are still fairly large. It's difficult because we can't see the nucleus directly. It's difficult to get a very, very precise track on exactly
HiRISE could see the nucleus.
But so far,
to a
the
point.
non-gravitational accelerations have been very much on par with the sort that we see in solar system comets.
But it's not, though.
In terms of future observations,
said-
this is a situation where, because this is only the third time we've had an opportunity to look at an object like this, everyone that is in control of a telescope wants to look at it because it's a fascinating and rare opportunity. I know that our colleagues from the Keck Observatory have looked at it. I believe that we're going to look at it again with JWST in December. We have some other ground-based facilities that are giving us additional compositional information as those additional molecules bake off of 3I Atlas. Those are the things I'm aware of. There's probably a lot more that I'm not, because like I said, like every astronomer wants to get data on this thing because it's such a rare opportunity.
Yeah, and the HiRISE image that you asked about specifically, Amit kind of rolled that out at the beginning. So please take a look at that image. I think Sean is
without
not
the resolution
bragging a
big
lot
enough.
on what these astrophysics telescopes.
It's just a glorified version of the Hubble picture.
Because we are able to look at it in infrared with the James Webb Space Telescope, that will be the last time we can see the comet. So as it is exiting the solar system and getting further and further away, the James Webb Space Telescope will actually be able to track it longer than anyone else, partly because of its ability to kind of look long.
What about the Juno probe?
Rather than sort of across and wide, and the fact that it looks in the ultraviolet, so in the infrared, so it can kind of see the dark objects, and so I'm really excited about just sort of tracking it to the very end. Also noted we're downlinking data from missions. I mentioned Parker Solar Probe because I just heard before we came on that we'd got some data and we'd seen the comet. I haven't had time to look at the data yet, but all of those things are coming up as we are getting more and more data coming down to us from those missions. And then as both Sean and Tom talked about, just really making sure we're sharpening up those images and really making sure they're calibrated. Right now we're putting out almost the raw images. We're putting out things quickly so everyone can see them, but we'll take some time and do some real sort of deep looking into those and do some more of the spectroscopy. Tom showed a really great example of kind of looking through the atmosphere of Mars, take out that hydrogen, take out the hydrogen from our solar system, and then let us look at the hydrogen that's coming from the comet. So we'll be doing a lot more of that as we move on to do great things with NASA science.
All right, that's a great lead into our next question on social media. Elijah on X asks, what kind of processing were the images subjected to and why did they need it?
Oh, fakery, that's why.
Want to take that?
Single pixel blobs.
All right, someone's asked a good question about the resolution of HiRISE.
Because 3I Atlas is in our solar system, we can get the images and the compositional information with JWST. As it got closer to some of the planetary spacecraft Tom was talking about, they can't even see these galaxies, but because 3I Atlas was closer to them than they were to JW, they got really good images of the object as it passed.
Right, as you said, we can image individual grains on Mars because we have spacecraft standing on Mars.
Right.
But even our closest spacecraft to 3I Atlas, we're still 19 million miles away.
Yes, but it's still 38 kilometers per pixel.
Intercept and get that close to it. So that's just not that we just don't have. If we could, we would. We would be there up close and getting those grains.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to follow along with...
Hey, guys and gals, I'm back in the lovely studio of mine here. It's quite a long time after I filmed the rest of that particular video you'll be watching at the moment, but I just thought I'd add this little bit in here, some extra, just so people would know what was going on. So there have been some updates since the NASA press conference. First of all, I could refer you to Avi's assessment of the NASA press conference, which is beautiful. There's some beautiful outrage here. There is nothing more deceptive than an obvious fact. NASA press conference on 3I Atlas. And he says, this is a really, really good article here. He says, I do not expect big news from NASA. And indeed, but the HiRISE image will probably show a fuzzy ball of light. Well, I was not surprised. There was no big news NASA repeated the official mantra, the 3i Atlas is a natural comet. Yeah, they said it straight away from the start, didn't they? They said it straight away from the start. And they were unable to process the data recently because of the government shutdown. The image taken by the HiRISE camera aboard the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter on October the 3rd shows a fuzzy ball of light. And this is actually the one in the titles, I believe. It's either that or the Perseverance one. This one here. Yeah, I've got a bit of a cold, sorry. Well, you can actually compare the one in the title shot, which I've shown you, is you can actually compare the two. This HiRISE image is actually not that much better than the Perseverance one, is it? It's actually pretty much the same, which you wouldn't expect. The Perseverance camera on the Perseverance rover, this is a probe on the surface of Mars. It's as you know, it's a wheeled vehicle and it moves along. And it has a camera that's only designed to look at rocks and things like that. And it happened to turn upwards and take a photo of 3i Atlas as it went past. The HiRISE camera is designed, again, to look down at Mars, yet you'd expect something slightly better, wouldn't you? There you go. That's how it goes. And it goes on talking about various other points here. They said they insist that it's a familiar comet from a new birth environment. It does what 3i Atlas does what comets do, namely shed gas and dust and respond to gravity. Well, does it? But a spacecraft that collected dust and etc. We've got carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and water ices on its surface by traveling through the cold interstellar medium, could have developed an outer layer of dust mixed with ices there. So he's saying that this is actually like something that is gathered on the actual surface of the object, on the hull of the object. And then he mentions the Trojan horse. Now, this is an interesting point. Now, so I've got a cold. I don't like the threat narrative. That's one thing Stephen Greer says that people do too much of. Maybe I think it's something we've got to keep at the back of our minds when we don't know the intention of an extraterrestrial. I don't believe they're all good like Greer does. But I think when he says things like, I hope they don't deliver us a Christmas present or Black Swan event, etc. You know, I mean, I'm concerned, as you know, from them taking advantage of this for the Project Bluebeam stuff, you know. But he says, Sherlock Holmes noted, there's nothing more deceptive than an obvious fact. It is a capital mistake to theorize before one has data. Insensibly, one begins to twist facts to suit theories instead of theories to suit facts. I wish NASA's representatives share this wisdom. Yeah, it's interesting, that quote from Sherlock Holmes, because is this a hyperlink here? Yeah, it is. It's Sherlock Holmes. There we go. Because what's interesting about this, the author of Sherlock Holmes, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, is he was a massive woo-woo, as many of you know. He's really into spiritualism and stuff like that. And he goes along here listing the various anomalies and stuff like that. It's very, very, very good article there. This is interesting. The orientation of the plume around 3i Atlas in the HiRISE image. Now, I actually I'm not going to read this because there's been so many updates on this that it's all gone crazy. For example, here's this other article: the newly discovered sideways lines. Now, as you know, if you're familiar with the comets, and we've learned a lot about comets in the last couple of months, we've been on a bit of a crash course, haven't we? Which is that you talk about tails, anti-solar and solar tails, solar pointing tails, and away from the sun, tails pointing towards the sun and away from the sun, etc. An anti-solar tail, which is the normal one, away. What do they all have in common? They're all orientated in the direction of the sun or away from it directly. So it's either away from the sun or towards the sun. Well, 3i Atlas, I don't have to read all of this to you, actually has a tail that points sideways. Well, literally almost at 90 degrees. Now, why are two sideways jets orientated vertically to the tail and anti-tail, associated with the 3i Atlas sun axis? Now, this is weird. This has never been seen before. I mean, I can't go into too much detail because I could do an entire video about this, I'll tell you. Now, this is the extraordinary new anomaly about 3i Atlas. You can bet I was very keen to read this. Now, there's been a bit of an update on the whole changing course thing. As you see, I still have the I still have the same background behind me, which I used for the changing course video I did. Now, what's strange is that there's the course change of direction was very small. Like I said, people said, well, it's going to turn around and come towards the Earth, like in this image. It's going to like really turn around. It's not. No, it's not. It's far less than that. It's extreme, compared to say a rocket taking off from Earth. It's a tiny amount of delta V. Yet, Avi has calculated this. It is very, very precisely geared towards a specific future encounter, and that is Jupiter. What's the amount of acceleration will bring it directly into what he calls the Hill radius. I mean, I don't have to read this. Please go and read it for yourself. There's a lot of equations. There's a lot of mathematics in this. But basically, what the Hill radius is basically the Lagrange point between the Sun and Jupiter. It's basically where the gravitational fields are balanced between the two, and that it's the perfect place either to enter Jovian orbit or to release what Avi calls gadgets, which would then enter Jovian orbit, such as it could drop off like seeding ships or colonial ships or something like that. It's the perfect place. If this is true, and I think it is, I mean, there's been an attempt by JPL to debunk it. In fact, here there's this article here I should show you. It's called, where is it? Oh, here we go. Updates on the non-gravitational acceleration of 3I Atlas. It's this one here. Which basically JPL have come forward and said, oh, no, it's actually the actual delta V is slightly different. This is very long and complicated. And it's actually going to leave 3I Atlas slightly outside the Hill radius. That is outside that Lagrange point. Sorry, I've got a cold. Now, Avi has countered this by saying that this is not very accurate. He suspects that this is the scientific equivalent of sorry, you couldn't see that, could you? There we go. This is it, the release on the non-gravitational acceleration. This is very complicated, like I said, but he suspects that this is basically the scientific equivalent of someone yelling, "Quick, nurse, the screens." They probably said this because they are concerned by what Avi's been saying. And believe I am kind of, because this is actually a bit, I suppose it's a bit disappointing. Not because I haven't changed my mind about 3I Atlas being a comet. It's certainly not a comet. But it's going to Jupiter. Now, why is it going to Jupiter? Well, you could say, what's the biggest planet in the solar system? If it doesn't really know much about where it's heading and it's looking at the solar system from a distance, it's the obvious place to go. But then it's you see, together with the fact that it's kind of avoiding Earth, it's kind of going like that. It's like one of these Karens who cross over to the other side of the street when some bloke who's not wearing a tie walks past. You know what I mean? It's a bit like that with us. Oh dear, I want to speak to your manager. Oh, that kind of thing. But also, if it's going to go to Jupiter, it's like, oh, Earth. Who needs Earth? Who cares about Earth? What's Earth got to do with anything? Earth is nothing, man. There's nothing to see there. It's what was it, that line from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? It's mostly harmless. So it's a little bit humbling that the aliens are more interested in Jupiter than Earth. But there you go. I mean, it's up to who knows what the best laid plans of mice and aliens. Who knows what really goes on in there? That's another Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference, by the way. Yes. So it's for whatever reason, it appears to be heading for Jupiter. Now, that's where it gets interesting because it's going to hit Perigove, that is its closest point of approach to Jupiter, quite long after it hits Perigee. Perigee is the 19th of December, and I'll cover that at the time. Perigove, that is its closest point of approach to Jupiter, will be on March the 16th at precisely 19 minutes past 12, 19 minutes past midday. Yeah, I might do a vigil for that. That's when it's come to its closest point of approach to Jupiter. Now, by then, it's going to be very hard to see. If presumably if it stops outgassing, it's going to be very hard to see. But we should be able to tell if it actually changes course radically to enter Jupiter's orbit, or we may be able to see if it releases something. We don't know. because NASA have now said they're not going to use the Juno probe. Which is annoying because because it seems to me, why not? Why the hell not? It's an old probe. It's not needed anymore. It's carried out its mission, the mission for which it was designed. It's got just enough fuel that it's too late now, but if it left like last month, it could have got really close to 3I Atlas as it went past. Oh, no, we can't be bothered, says NASA. It's only a comet. That's really annoying. And that pissed off Avi as well. It did. Okay. So there's a hell of a lot going on with 3I Atlas, and a lot's been going on since I made the rest of this video. And, I mean, every time I look at Avi's blog, it's like something else weird is happening. And I'm baffled. I'm absolutely stunned by this. So, makes you wonder what's going to happen next. Well, I'll tell you what, the only thing that would really surprise me about 3I Atlas would be if it did something normal.
Well, that was about as entertaining as a dose of Bombay bum. Even Angry Astronaut rage quit. He just stopped the live stream. He just said, because apparently his commenters were even more scathing than the NASA ones, and he just said, I can tell you you've had enough of this, so have I. So he quit after like 45 minutes. I watched it to the end. The questions looked like they were all planted. Only one of them or two of them were particularly interesting, and then they were worded in a way that made it a very softball for the people to answer, like the NGA question and things like that, and the pixelation, the resolution and stuff like that of the high-rise image. Avi Loeb never even got a mention because his name is just a dirty word to these people. Oh, but I can't wait to hear what Avi has to say about this, though. I really can't. Anyway, no ghosts so far, but I'm really exhausted, so I'm going to go to bed. Managed to turn the heating down so it's not quite so boiling in here. Anyway, not to worry. I'm glad I didn't cancel my trip for this. I really am. Alright guys, well I'm going to try not to go to sleep just yet. I mean, I'm really, really tired. I've been a long day, didn't sleep well last night. So I'm very drowsy, but I'm going to try to stay awake a bit longer because it's only about 9:30, and if I go to sleep too early, I know I tend to wake up in the middle of the night, regardless of how tired I am. So I'm going to try and stay awake a bit longer. The problem is the TV doesn't work, which it's not the end of the world. I mean, I'm not a TV fan, as you know. There's a mirror on the wall now. Rosemary Ellen Guiley used to always say, you shouldn't have a mirror on your bedroom wall because it allows the jinn to access our world. I know that I was reading in Fortean Times actually. Like if you put two mirrors facing each other, so you get like a feedback reflection. That apparently can open a portal. You shouldn't have that in your bedroom or in any room of your house. Apparently, I don't know if that's true or not. But I mean, I wouldn't do it anyway. Just because there's no reason you don't lose anything by not doing it. So yeah. All right, guys, but I'll see how well I sleep. Anyway, I just have to carry on watching YouTube. I can't wait to see what the 3i Atlasologists think about all this. So I'll have a look through some of the things that they've said.
It must be natural.
Avi's already being interviewed about this.
Natural, it seems to me that the main message is that,
I can imagine what he thinks about it.
We are missing something. We don't know how such an object is generated.
Well, if it's not, again,
why wouldn't they let him call in? I mean, why didn't he call in? I bet you he tried to call into NASA and they wouldn't take his call. I bet you. Avi was probably on the phone saying, let me speak on this press conference, on this live stream, and NASA said, no, we don't want you. Well, Tiago there, Dobsonian Power, he's called Tiago even though he's known as Dobsonian Power. I think his attitude is pretty much typical of the 3i Atlasology community, and he's made a lot of the same points that I have, and no doubt this will be echoed by other researchers within 3i Atlasology, definitely. By the way, this is very interesting here. This is Monday, November. This is Monday, 17th of November. Today is the 19th. It's 1 month from perigee. Yeah, that's right. In 1 month's time, it'll be closest point of approach to the Earth. But this is an article I wrote, ranging needed on 3i Atlas, and actually there's a bit more here I want to show you. So you should read that article, Ranging Needs on 3i Atlas, because you'll be interested in that. Also, here we go, Third Rail Radio Program 229, I cover this as well. I cover this too. Basically, which is that, are we sure how far away 3i Atlas is from the Earth right now? Because it's just... there's several methods that astronomers use, and one of those is parallax. For something like 3i Atlas, the range, you'd use parallax, which means measuring how it changes its position relative to background objects as the Earth rotates. Essentially, the Earth has stereoscopic vision of the universe because of its own rotation. Now, the thing is, I mean, is it possible? It's possible that 3i Atlas is actually deliberately deceiving us using forced perspective. Now, forced perspective is a way of subtly changing its own movements relative to the Earth, which makes it look, to create an optical illusion that makes it look in a different place to where it actually is. This can be done in the movies? For example, in the Lord of the Rings movies, they engineered shots deliberately to make all the actors look different sizes, because some were playing hobbits and some were playing humans, etc. You may have seen those videos of what they say, well, there's a plane standing still in the sky. Excuse me. There's a plane standing still in the sky, not moving, and people say that's a reality glitch, it's a glitch in the Matrix and things like that. What it actually is, these videos are all made from a moving vehicle, a car or a train or something. And what happens is that there's a forced perspective. The movements are just exactly matched to create a forced perspective illusion. And if this, as in the movies, these things can happen spontaneously by accident, as in the case of the plane standing still in the sky, or they can be engineered, as in the case of the movie effect. Well, my point is if 3i Atlas is doing that, it may be doing it because it's approaching us. Now, this doesn't mean it's a hostile action. It's not some kind of ambush necessarily. It may be because they don't want to freak us out. And the NGA we've observed could be very small errors in that navigation, in that maneuver. This could explain certain things, such as the way that the coma appears to be expanding in size, and the brightening. Because there's some things you can't disguise, which is the size of the object and its brightness. But that could explain it. That could explain it. I don't know, because there is a way that we can work out how far away certain objects are that are much closer to us. And that's with direct radar ranging. So basically it works the same way as military radar or primary radar on aviation, on sort of aviation. You send out radar beams and they get reflected back. Has anyone done that to 3i Atlas yet? Is it close enough that we can radar range it? Because I think we should. I think we should try that, just in case. Because it could be that 3i Atlas is actually using forced perspective to fool us. I think it's worth looking into. I mean, obviously it won't work forever, but they want to delay it as long as possible. It's something to think about. Anyway, I don't think I can stay awake much longer, so I'm going to have to go to sleep. Anyway, I'm getting my breakfast early, so I'll be heading off. I'm going to take a walk to Bicester from here along the Roman Road tomorrow morning, I think, rather than going directly back to Oxford. Alright, see you then. Night. Hey guys, just woke up. I had the weirdest dream. I want to talk about it now before I forget it. I was on this plane with Colin and Mark, my friends who I went to contact in the desert with, and the plane landed, and there was this rumour, there was this urgent message that another plane was trying to crash into our plane, and we were on a Malaysian Airlines plane, and the pilot responded by just cutting all the power on the plane. And we were on the runway anyway, and so the plane just went dark as a kind of defence mechanism. And then I got tired of waiting, so I got out the plane through the emergency exit and sort of went down a little step ladder onto the runway. And I ran across the runway, and there was like a garden shed type structure, and there were some cats in it, and I had a cat with me. And I thought, what am I going to do with this cat? I don't know how I had a cat with me. But anyway, I found a cat basket and put them in, but I had to get another cat out first. And eventually a bus came along, and I got on it. And I thought, oh, I'm in trouble now, because it took me straight to Central Bus Station. And I thought, I've not been through customs, I've not had my passport stamped. and then and in the plane, and then eventually the plane got to the terminal, and the others all disembarked. I saw that it had arrived, and I met them at the runway. And Colin was dressed in kind of like a drag outfit, and I said, "What are you looking like that for?" He says, "Oh, the pilot said we could dress up in drag because the time's passing." And I told him what happened, and he was really angry. And he said, and I said, "My bag's still on the plane and everything. It's like my hand luggage." And he said, "You better go to the help desk and tell them what happened." So I went to the help desk, and I was going to confess everything, and I woke up. Okay, well, here's the view out the window. Not much really to see. I'll just show you where we're going to go today, or try to go. Right, I'll just show you where we are. We're here, Sturdy Castle, you see. And I'm going to try and walk to Bicester. That's here, where I can get a bus home. So it should be a good couple of hours walk. It'll do me good. Actually, here's the Roman Road. Aikman Street. It goes. It is actually a footpath for this area, but then there's that black line, which means basically as a track of any description. Now, it's not obvious how I cross the canal at this point. It goes along here, then there's a proper road here until you get to Chesterton, and then you're almost at Bicester. There you are, see. So yes, that's where I'm heading today. There's Wootton, where Dan, formerly of GB News, lives. Let's see how we get on. Well, the worrying part is here. How do I cross? There's the river. There's the River Cherwell and the canal. There's no bridge marked here. And this black line here means that doesn't necessarily mean a footpath. That means a track of any description. Do you remember how difficult it was when I went to the Isle of Man, and I went up one of these tracks that's marked like that? But anyway, we'll see how he goes. Well, welcome to a bitterly cold morning. Oh, you can see that's where the Roman Road comes out. This stretch of road here is actually the first part of it, and you can see where it leads off from this like tarmac road. Now, so this short stretch is actually a part of it here. That goes to Tackley, and I've got to go down this way if I want to stick to the footpath. I couldn't see it at first. I thought, where is it? You can see here, public footpath here. You can see it along here. It's bitterly cold. I haven't got my... I could have done with a scarf and gloves. I left them behind. Didn't bother with them. Oh, blimey. I wish I hadn't. Anyway, here's the start of the Roman Road from where I am. And it says here, I can't even read that. But anyway, there's a lovely field here. Fallow for the winter. So we'll go along here. You can actually see how straight it is. I can see it running into the distance. You can see it going up that hill. That's where I'm heading. Amazingly straight roads. Yeah. When I was a little kid at school, we had a joke, a rather racist joke actually, that went, why did the Romans build such straight roads? The answer is to stop the Asians setting up corner shops. And we didn't use the word Asians, we used a much ruder word. But, one example of my misspent youth, but there you go. I'm not going to apologise for it now. But it is amazing how they built such straight roads. There's another reason for that though. Well, I know the answer. The real reason Romans built such straight roads is because there were no property laws in Iron Age Britain, in Roman Britain. When the Romans came in, they just said, well, we own everything and we'll build roads wherever we damn well like. They could build roads through through anyone who claimed a piece of land, whether it was a farmer or a local aristocrat from the pre-Illuminati British Celtic people. They just said, we don't care, we're just going to build a road through your property. And they could do it. I'm heading towards Bicester. The very name Bicester is Latin. The suffix of the word, C-E-S-T-E-R, is pronounced differently in different names. Gloucester, Leicester, Cirencester, etc. Bicester. It has a different pronunciation, but it means the same thing. These are all Latin names, and it means castle, fortress. It's related to the word castle, actually. And that's where the Romans set up their military infrastructure to trample their Illuminati
plated feet on the lives of the pre-Illuminati people who lived there, our ancestors. This was what led to Boudica and her brave cohorts taking up arms. As they said in that Boudica movie, you know, Suetonius was given a very, very interesting personality in that film. He says, what are we here for? We're just here, aren't we? It's professional pride. But look at those people, they're fighting for everything. Their right to live, their right to practice their culture, their religion, everything. See the difference here. And so, that's why we did it. My ancestors, I'm very proud of. Brave, beautiful Boudica. Hello sheep, how are you? Remember, stay home, save lives. Keir Starmer is a wonderful person. Get on the Brit card, get your digital ID. So that's being unkind to sheep. Well, I've nearly come to the end of the public footpath, so I'm not exactly sure how I go from there. And I don't know how I cross. And again, of course, I've got to cross the River Cherwell Canal, like I said. But I'll cross that bridge when I come to it, literally. Now, this reminds me of Smilog Woods. After the UFO crash. Has a UFO crashed here? Probably not. Look, I'm taking a slight detour now. I've managed to regain the footpath, but the footpath leads me off the old Roman road. And this is a slight loop I can get to, and if I follow it, I can get to the canal another way. And there is a bridge up here, at least I hope so anyway. There is a bridge marked on the map. This map is only about 20 years old, but hopefully the bridge will still be there. Okay, I've managed to cross the river and canal on this very ancient lock, this ruined derelict lock. It's probably centuries old. Here's the new lock. Well, it's even that's quite old. It reminds me of Cottagers Cove, except it's outside. Okay, this is Akerman Street. I'm back on the Roman road now. Akerman Street, named after Julius Claudius Akermanus, 2nd century Caesar of Rome. And this takes me, it's quite a long, I'm not quite halfway there yet, but this takes me 90% of the way to Bicester. Unfortunately there's no pavement, but I do have a white line. I can walk inside, and people are very good. They've been passing me and stuff and going over the other side of the road, so I'm very grateful to that. People in the countryside are much better drivers than in the city. Anyway, so I'm listening to a bit of Stefan on my earphones. It feels a bit easier now. This is a quieter road as well than the one I came up yesterday. Well, this is a bit Illuminati, isn't it? Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Well, welcome to Bicester. I made it. It's this little town here, and that's the end of a very interesting little adventure. Just a short one. Nothing spooky happened in the hotel, but wow, a lot of interesting stuff to do with 3i Atlas, I'll tell you. Even it just exposed what liars NASA are. Anyway, that's quite a long walk. I started about like 8:30, and I've only just got here. It's now nearly midday, so that's quite a long walk. But anyway, I'm here now. Thank you. My next trip is to go to Lapis. This is a video you may well see first before this one, but I'm making a video of that too. So thank you for watching Hapanmo TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order.